That's okay. I'll just run through them one more real quick. So we had 2 times x, we write them next to each other, 2x minus 7 times y. We write the letters and the number next to each other, 7y equals 20. The quantity 10 plus x, we wrote like this, divided by the quantity 3 times y. We put 3y below our fraction bar. Remember, we're going to show division with a fraction bar, and then that equals 44 was pretty straightforward. This one's very straightforward. Just write down what you're hearing. X equals 11 plus y. Y, be careful, make sure you use your fraction bar for divided by 9 equals 3 times x. So you write 3x minus 5 was straightforward. And then if Joe mowed lawns, he charged $15 plus 4 times the number of hours. That's how we found our cost.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did you do this last year with the second first class?
But I did this last year. I did not do 7th grade math last year. So no. All right. So get out your new packets. If you don't have a packet, if you weren't here at all last week, make sure you grab one. They are not the ones closest to the window, but just one inside of there. They are our module 3, so it looks just like our last one. But it says module 3 operations with integers on the front. Let's figure out where we are at here. We've been looking at some plus and minus algebra tiles. We've done a bit of checking here. We are on the bottom of page 128. I think we actually did do this check and talked through this check for method 2.
Yeah, we went to the operation.
Good. We said -5 plus -11 equals what? Excellent. So we're gonna hop to example 2, page 129. All right, this is section 3.1. We're on page 129, example 2. Anybody need a second? No. We're doing okay? All right. Very well then. Allie borrowed $139 from her parents to purchase an ebook reader. During the first month, she purchased $47 in apps, games, and movies, which was added to the amount she already owed her parents. What integer represents the amount of money Allie had at the end of the first month? Okay, if she borrowed money, would you say that's positive or negative?
Negative.
She's in the hole $139, right? So that's why they wrote this here. And then they added another -$47. So this is what she borrowed, right? And then they're adding this for what she bought in apps. So that's where they got the -139 and the -47 from. So, because the integers have the same sign, remember, same sign means we're finding the sum. That's how I always remember it. Same sign, sum. Different sign, we find the difference. Same sign, sum. What does a sum mean? No, it's the answer to what kind of problem though? Addition. We have to add. So, with that being said, we add the absolute values. We have, what's the absolute value of -139? And the absolute value of -47? Remember, that's the distance from 0, so it's never negative. The sum of their absolute value is 139 plus 47, or what's 139 plus 47? 16 and 186. Anybody checking it for me?
I got 1.9.
Yeah, there was something going on. Oh, it's in scientific. notation.
Yep, 186.
Excellent. All right, because both integers are negative, the sum will also be negative. It's in scientific notation. Grab a different one. Times 10 to the second power. So they rounded to the nearest tens. All right, questions? Do you remember adding the absolute values? All right, check. A contestant on a game show was 1,500 points in the hold. Or has negative 1,500 points. He loses another 750 points. What's his new score? So write it out if you need to. Negative 1,500 plus a negative 750. What's his new score? Sorry, it would be helpful if you could see what I wrote, huh?
Parentheses and then, oh no, that's multiplier, right?
So if I had these parentheses and there was not an operation here, like the plus, then it would mean to multiply. Very good.
So, I thought you guys know it's not there.
I just did it to separate your signs. Okay, so what did you get? So negative 2,250. And we did that because our signs are the same. We found the sum. So 1,500 plus 750.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
If our signs are different and we find the sum, here's our answer, but it's negative because both of our signs are negative. Or we can always go with whatever our bigger number is. And of course, if they're both negative, our bigger number will be negative, right? Any questions on page 129?
No.
Just a minute, make sure you've got good notes. All right, page 130. Cruising right along. Here is our learn. Finding additive inverses. The integers 4 and negative 4 are opposites. Opposites have the same absolute value but different signs. Two integers that are opposites are called additive inverses. So there's a word we should know. The additive inverse property can be used to find additive inverses. So the sum of any number and its additive inverse is 0. So that means 4 plus a negative 4 is 0. Or any number plus the negative version of that is 0. So all of these sums should be 0 here, right? So I'm going to add a 0 to that top line. If I was given the integer 2, what would be the additive inverse of 2? Excellent, negative 2. Because 2 plus negative 2 does add up to 0. If I was told the additive inverse is negative 3, what would be the original integer?
3.
Excellent. If I was told the integer is negative 4, what would be the additive inverse? We're just taking the opposite. What's the opposite of negative 4? 4. What's the opposite of 5? Negative 5. Does anyone not understand how these add up to make 0? Remember when we were showing these with our algebra tiles? We would take 5 of the red, 5 of the yellow, they would cancel each other out. So if you didn't watch the videos you missed, you probably don't have any idea what I'm talking about. All right. Are you ready to move on?
Yes.
Are you understanding? Okay. So let's look at finding additive inverses. So a hiking trail begins at an elevation of 150 feet feet, rather not feet, above sea level. Oh my goodness. It leads down to the shore of the ocean, which has the elevation of 0 feet above sea level. So sea level they call 0. What integer represents the change in elevation of the trail from beginning to end? So how much did it change? Well, the trail begins at a positive height above the shore.
Changed by 150.
To reach sea level at 0 feet, the change in elevation would have to be equal to the additive inverse of 150. So the additive inverse of 150 is what? What's the opposite of 150?
Negative 100.
Negative 150. So the integer that represents the change in elevation of the trail from beginning to end is negative 150. So they're asking, how do we get from 150 to 0? Well, we take 150 away. So if a puffin is flying at 29 feet above sea level, what is the elevation in feet that it will have to fly to reach sea level?
29.
So if sea level is 0, how far does it have to go? What's the opposite of 29? Negative 29. All right, I'm just gonna peek to our practice real quick and see if we're ready to complete some of that, so we don't have too much in our heads before we move on. Since there are like 7 or more examples in this section, I don't want to. Yeah, it looks like we can do half of page 137. So I want you to try number 1 through 10 on page 137. Right? So when our signs are the same, we find the sum. When our signs are different, we find the difference. And we always take big minus little. And remember, our answer has same sign. Why are we throwing things? As our bigger, that hashtag is standing for number. Same sign as our bigger number. So in this case, it would be negative. In this case, also negative. In this case, our bigger number is still negative. In this case, it's still negative. So all of these answers are going to be negative for 1 through 4. So be careful. Make sure you're understanding. Sum, difference, difference. Sum and then difference. Difference. And then sum. All right, try these out. 1 through 10. Remember to go back. It tells you what example. So some of these might be a little bit trickier, and we'll kind of solidify those first 6 once we move on to some other examples as well. So try them out. It's okay if you're struggling, because remember, we're going to have more examples. It's all good.